Hey, what is the allure of a collectible card game, or as some people call it, a trading card game? So obviously, there's two things there. There's the collectability, and there's the trading. The collectability has been something that has been going on for thousands of years, but particularly recently with consumer products, and specifically consumer products that are initially aimed at children but then become nostalgic thing for adults to remember their childhood. Baseball cards, sports cards of any kind, um, beanie babies for some reason. So that's the thing, is when you can't really understand the appeal of them, they're probably not going to last. I mean, they may last years, maybe upwards of a decade, but at some point the allure might wear off. But for certain things, you can kind of tell that they have a time immemorial status, right? There's going to be new people coming into the hobby, and as people move out or pass on, the collectability is driven by mostly emotions that are evoked that make you remember childhood, i.e., nostalgia. The trading part is part of the gameplay to some degree, part of the collecting to another degree, and it's not as prevalent today. Or initially, when these collectible card games started, and just collectible cards in general with baseball and hockey, kids trade them all the time. Pokemon gets traded all the time. Not many kids have Magic the Gathering. Mostly kids get into Magic the Gathering from 12 and up, right? Probably more in their later teens. So there's less trading of Magic the Gathering and Flesh and Blood and maybe some other things. But Pokemon, probably Yu-Gi-Oh! Are traded quite a bit by kids, but not to any sophisticated degree. And so I would say that the TCG moniker is, for the most part, dead. I would say that it's mostly now appropriate to say collectible card game. But that's not really what is the main allure for these things, because eventually people get sick of garbage pail kids. And some people stick with baseball cards and hockey cards and basketball cards and UFC cards and stuff like that, maybe. But with Magic the Gathering particularly, because it's a fun game and it's what some people consider the best game. I don't necessarily agree, but a lot of people consider it that. That is what continues to drive their purchasing within the Magic the Gathering economy, and it increases the collectability and the secondary market status of a lot of the cards that are highly playable. So you can see certain cards that spike up in value, especially during the time that they're in standard, and you can tell that it's a player's game, because a lot of the value is driven by players, by the need to play the cards. And the pure collectible cards is a more recent thing. In Pokemon, it's the general idea of Pokemon that you have the pure collectible cards that are, I guess, they're like the gambling premium for opening a box. But the gambling premium for opening a box of Magic is to get a card that you can trounce your enemies, right? And so that is another allure to the card game beyond playing, is the value. And being able to open up a card that is highly sought after, that you particularly are seeking for a deck, that is a huge dopamine hit, I guess. And that's something that keeps people coming back and cracking packs and keeps people playing the game, even if there are times when the game starts to get stale because the meta becomes 2, 1, 3 particular decks because of certain particular cards that are used in those decks, and then the meta gets refreshed again, and if people have stayed in the hobby, they are sort of rewarded with a feeling of newness. The game is new again to them. And for people that move away from the hobby and come back in, it feels new again to them. So there's quite a bit of allure to these games. There's like I said, the trading, the collecting, the playing, and the cracking of packs, the gambler's premium, the trouncing your enemies, and the growing nostalgia and the socialness, especially with Commander, with Magic the Gathering, but even with just collectible card games that are 1v1. If you've gone to a convention and you've played in either just casual games with strangers, or if you've played in a tournament, then there is still social, I guess, cohesion within the community. It's more so in Commander because it's a multiplayer game, but it's a social game. You're trying to, I guess, politically maneuver yourself around a table of people who have powerful decks, and you're trying to get someone else to get attacked instead of you getting attacked, basically. So there's that aspect to it, and that then feeds into the nostalgia. And I think that there's quite a few of these things are all intermixing within a person depending on how they come to the game and how they feel about the game. But they all have a little bit of that. And the value thing especially helps, that later you can take your cards that you have or your collection that you have, and if you feel like leaving the hobby, you can recover some, all, or more than what you put into the hobby in the first place, which is very, very unique. That doesn't really happen in any other industry. So that, to some people, it'd be a very small number of people that think of it that way, because not many people are thinking into the future and when I'm going to abandon this thing that I love playing. But some people do think like that. So that could also be an allure, that there's no sunk cost, basically. Other hobbies, you've sunk so much into it, you might as well just stick with it because you're not going to get much out of it. And I think that when you mix all those things together, depending on what mixture it is within you, then you end up sticking with the hobby for longer or coming back to the hobby more often and that sort of thing. But let me know what you think. What kind of things have brought you into Magic the Gathering or any other collectible card game? And do you move between different collectible card games? Like, are you more of a collector and you're interested in Pokemon and maybe some Magic and sometimes Flesh and Blood, maybe some Lorcana? Is that something that you do? Or are you just stuck in one particular collectible card game and that is your jam, and you prefer the strict collecting of Pokemon? Or maybe you play Pokemon, you're one of those few people that play Pokemon. Or you're one of the many people that play Magic the Gathering, or one of the few people that strictly collect Magic the Gathering. And let me know, what are the things that make you feel connected to the hobby itself and connected to other people that are involved in the hobby, and what keeps you there. And if you've left the hobby and come back, what caused that? And was there a moment? I'll give you an example. When I decided to start buying Magic cards again, it was, I bought the Secret Lair in December of 2019, but what really convinced me, because I was just going to put that in a back room, I wasn't planning to open it, but what really convinced me to start buying booster boxes, and I bought it for my pod, my nephews and my friends to all be part of this, was Rudy opening, from Alpha Investments, opening up Double Masters VIP packs and seeing Force of Will and a bunch of these other cards. And I didn't even know Force of Will. I never played with that card, but all of the cards in that Double Masters VIP were amazing. And I wanted to open it, and I still have not. I've never had a pack of Double Masters VIP, but I've now opened quite a bit, and you'll see on my channel I've opened quite a bit of Magic, and even before that. And I've seen many amazing cards, and I've even seen some great Pokemon cards and Flesh and Blood cards and Lorcana cards and sorcery cards especially. And that is what brought me back. It was, I'm not usually a visual art guy, but just the graphic design and the art together in Double Masters VIP is what brought me back. So what brought you back? Let me know in the comments, and have a
Have a good day.